Naomi was a woman from Bethlehem. This town was in Judah. She lived many, many years ago. It was during the time when judges ruled the land. Life then could be very hard sometimes. People faced struggles and uncertainties often. Naomi had a husband named Elimelech. She also had 2 beloved sons. They were her family. They were her world. Her story begins with them in their home. It is a story that will travel far. Ruth was a woman from a different place. She came from the land of Moab. Moab was not Israel. Its people worshipped different gods. Ruth was a Moabite. This made her an outsider to Naomi's people. Her own story starts to weave with Naomi's. This happens when she marries one of Naomi's sons. Their lives become connected in a special way. This connection would change everything for both of them. It was a bond that would be tested. Their journey together starts because of hardship. A terrible famine came upon the land of Judah. There was no food for the people. Elimelech, Naomi's husband, made a difficult choice. He decided his family must leave Bethlehem. They needed to find a place with food, so they traveled to the land of Moab. This was a big move. It was a step into the unknown. They were seeking survival. They hoped for a better life there. This story is about many important things. It is a story about deep, abiding love. It shows us loyalty that never gives up. It is about finding light when darkness seems to cover everything. It shows how new beginnings can spring from great sorrow. Naomi and Ruth walk a path of loss, but they also walk towards unexpected grace. Their journey holds powerful lessons for us all. We can learn so much from their faith and their hearts. Naomi's family made their new home in Moab. It was a foreign land, different from Judah. Her 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion, found wives there. They married Moabite women. One of these women was named Orpah, the other was named Ruth. For about 10 years they lived in Moab. Perhaps during this time there was some measure of peace. They tried to build new lives. They were far from their ancestral home. They adapted to new customs. Then the shadows began to fall. Great sorrow struck Naomi's small family. Her husband Elimelech died in Moab. This was a terrible blow for Naomi. She was now a widow. She was in a land that was not her own. Her sons became her only comfort, her only support. Life grew much harder for her. The future seemed very uncertain. She had to be strong for her sons. Her heart was heavy with this first loss, but the sadness did not end there. More tragedy was to come. After some years had passed, both of Naomi's sons also died. Mahlon and Chilion were gone. Naomi was left completely alone. She had only her 2 daughters-in-law, Orpah and Ruth. Imagine the depth of her pain. Picture her overwhelming grief. She had lost her husband. Now she had lost both her precious sons. Everything she held dear seemed to be taken away from her. Naomi was now without her husband and her children. Orpah and Ruth were also young widows. They shared this profound and terrible loss with Naomi. The land of Moab had once been a place of refuge. It had offered them escape from famine, but now it felt empty and cold. For Naomi, it became a place filled with bitter memories. It was a constant reminder of all she had lost. Her heart ached with an unbearable sorrow. She longed for something more. Naomi heard news from her homeland, Judah. The Lord had visited his people. He had shown them kindness. There was food again in Bethlehem. The famine was over. When Naomi heard this, her heart stirred. She felt a deep longing for her own land. She decided she must go back. Moab held too much pain. It was time to return to her roots. It was time to leave the place of sorrow. She spoke to Orpah and Ruth. She told them to go back. She wanted them to return to their own mothers' homes. She blessed them with kind words. She wished for them to find new husbands. She hoped they would find new lives and happiness. Her words were filled with love, but they were also heavy with her own sadness. She felt she had nothing left to offer them. She believed their journey with her was over. Orpah wept. She loved Naomi. It was a difficult moment. She kissed Naomi goodbye. Then Orpah made her choice. She decided to return to her own people. She would go back to her family and her gods. This was a sensible choice for her. It was a path to a new future. Naomi understood Orpah's decision. It was a sad farewell, but it was a practical one. Orpah chose her past. Naomi felt deep bitterness in her soul. She even told the women of Bethlehem later, "Do not call me Naomi, call me Mara." Naomi meant pleasant, but Mara meant bitter. She said the Almighty had dealt very bitterly with her. Her heart was heavy with all her losses. She felt she had gone away from Bethlehem full. She had a husband and sons. Now she was returning empty. This showed her profound despair. It was a dark time for her. Ruth, however, made a very different choice. She did not leave Naomi. She clung to her mother-in-law. She simply refused to go back to Moab. Her love for Naomi was incredibly strong. It was a bond that could not be easily broken. This moment in their story is truly powerful. It shows the depth of Ruth's character. It reveals her steadfast heart. Her decision was courageous and selfless. Ruth spoke words to Naomi that have echoed through centuries. These words are famous for their loyalty. She said, "Do not urge me to leave you or to return from following you." She continued, "For where you go, I will go, and where you lodge, I will lodge." These are not just pretty words, they are a solemn vow. They are words of total commitment. They show a love that is willing to sacrifice everything. Ruth's pledge went even deeper. She declared, "Your people shall be my people, and your God my God." This was a huge step for Ruth. She was leaving her own land, her own culture. She was also choosing to follow Naomi's God. She was embracing a new faith. Then she added, "Where you die, I will die, and there will I be buried." She was choosing Naomi's entire life, her future, and even her final resting place. It was an amazing, selfless promise. When Naomi saw Ruth's firm determination, she stopped arguing. She realized Ruth wouldn't be persuaded to leave, so the two women continued their journey together. One was older, her heart still aching with bitterness and loss. The other was younger, her spirit strong with loyalty and love. Together they walked towards Bethlehem. They faced an uncertain future, but they faced it together. This companionship was a small light in the darkness. Naomi and Ruth arrived in Bethlehem. It was the beginning of the barley harvest. This timing was very important. It was a sign of God's providence. The harvest season offered a small glimmer of hope. There would be work and food. The townspeople recognized Naomi, but she told them not to call her Naomi, pleasant. She asked them to call her Mara, bitter. She felt the Lord had brought her home empty. Her sorrow was still very deep. Ruth was a practical and caring woman. She did not want them to starve. She asked Naomi, "Let me go to the fields." She wanted to glean ears of grain. Gleaning was a custom in Israel. Landowners were to leave some grain behind. This was for the poor and for foreigners. Ruth was willing to do this humble work. She wanted to provide for Naomi and herself. Her dedication was clear to see. She was not afraid of hard labor. So Ruth went out to the fields. She began to glean behind the harvesters. As it happened, she found herself in a field. This field belonged to a man named Boaz. Boaz was a wealthy and respected man in Bethlehem. He was also a relative of Naomi's late husband, Elimelech. This was not just a coincidence. It seemed like a fortunate turn of events. It felt as if a gentle, unseen hand was guiding Ruth's steps that day. Boaz came out to his field. He noticed Ruth working there. He saw how hard she worked. He saw her quiet dignity. He asked his foreman about her. The foreman told him who she was. He told Boaz about her great loyalty to Naomi. Boaz was impressed. He spoke kindly to Ruth. He told her to stay in his fields. He offered her protection. He told her she could drink the water his men had drawn. This was the first sign of new grace. It was a ray of sunshine. Naomi's wisdom, Ruth's trust. Ruth worked hard in Boaz's field all day. When evening came, she had gathered much grain. She returned to Naomi. She showed her mother-in-law all that she had gleaned. She also shared the food Boaz had given her. Naomi was amazed. She asked Ruth where she had worked. When Ruth told her about Boaz and his kindness, Naomi's spirit began to lift. She recognized Boaz's name. A spark of hope ignited in her heart. Naomi explained to Ruth who Boaz was. She said, "The man is a close relative of ours. He is one of our kinsman redeemers." Hope began to bloom more fully in Naomi's heart. A kinsman redeemer had a very special role in Israelite society. He had the responsibility to help family members in need. He could marry the widow of a deceased relative. This would protect the family name and property. It would continue the family line. Naomi saw a possible future. Naomi then devised a plan. It was a thoughtful plan. It was also quite bold. She instructed Ruth carefully. She told Ruth to wash and anoint herself. She told her to put on her best clothes. Then she was to go to the threshing floor at night. Boaz would be there winnowing barley. Ruth was to wait until he had finished eating and drinking. Then she should go and uncover his feet and lie down. This was a customary way to make a plea. Ruth listened carefully to all that Naomi said. She trusted Naomi's wisdom. She trusted Naomi's love for her. Ruth replied with simple obedience. She said, "All that you say to me, I will do." Her trust and her courage were remarkable. She was willing to take this brave and unusual step. She was doing it for her future. She was also doing it for Naomi's future. Their destinies were intertwined. This act could change everything for them. Boaz, a man of honor. That night, Ruth followed Naomi's instructions. She went quietly to the threshing floor. After Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was cheerful, he lay down to sleep. Ruth came softly. She uncovered his feet and lay down. In the middle of the night, Boaz was startled. He woke up and saw a woman lying at his feet. He asked, "Who are you?" She replied, "I am Ruth, your servant. Spread your cloak over your servant, for you are a kinsman redeemer." Boaz was a man of good character and great honor. He understood the meaning of Ruth's request. He was touched by her actions. He praised her loyalty. He said she had shown even more kindness now than before. She had not sought a young, rich man. Instead, she had sought to preserve her late husband's family line. He called her a worthy woman. Everyone in the town knew of her virtue. He saw her incredible devotion to Naomi and her family. Boaz then explained something important to Ruth. He told her that there was another kinsman redeemer. This other man was a closer relative to Elimelech than Boaz was. This man had the first right to redeem Ruth and the family land. Boaz was a man who respected the law and customs. He promised Ruth he would settle the matter properly and openly. He would speak to the other kinsman the very next day. He wanted to do things the right way. True to his word, Boaz acted quickly. The next morning he went to the city gate. This was the place where business and legal matters were discussed. He gathered 10 of the elders of the town. He waited for the other kinsman to pass by. When the man came, Boaz presented the situation to him. He was open and honest in all his dealings. His integrity shone brightly. He explained about Naomi's land and about Ruth, the Moabite woman. The other kinsman initially agreed to redeem the land, but when he heard he must also marry Ruth, he declined. He was worried it might endanger his own estate, so he gave up his right of redemption. Boaz then declared his own intention. He would marry Ruth, he would buy Naomi's land, he would preserve the name of the dead. He acted with great honor and compassion. From barrenness to blessing. So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. Their union was a joyous event for everyone. It marked a wonderful turning point in their lives. From the depths of sorrow and loss, new life and new hope emerged. This marriage was a testament to enduring faith. It was a reward for unwavering loyalty. God's hand was clearly visible in their story. He had guided them through dark valleys. He had brought them to a place of blessing. Before long, the Lord blessed Ruth. She conceived and gave birth to a son. The women of Bethlehem rejoiced greatly with Naomi. They praised the Lord for his goodness. They said to Naomi, "Blessed be the Lord, who has not left you this day without a kinsman redeemer." They celebrated this new life. Naomi, who had once called herself Mara, bitter, began to feel her bitterness fade away completely. Joy was returning to her heart. Her emptiness was being filled. The women of the town spoke comforting words to Naomi. They told her that this child, her grandson, would restore her life. He would be a comfort to her. He would nourish her in her old age. They also praised Ruth. They said to Naomi, "Your daughter-in-law who loves you, who is more to you than 7 sons, has given birth to him." Naomi's heart overflowed with joy and gratitude. She took the child in her arms. She cherished him. Naomi became the nurse to the baby boy. She cared for him with deep love. The neighboring women gave him his name. They called him Obed. This child represented so much more than just a baby. He was a symbol of new beginnings. He was a sign of hope, wonderfully restored. Naomi, who had returned to Bethlehem feeling empty and alone, was now full. Her family line would continue. Her legacy was secure. God had turned her mourning into dancing. A tapestry woven with grace. The story of Ruth and Naomi is like a beautiful tapestry. It is carefully woven with many different threads. There are threads of deep sorrow and painful loss, but there are also shining threads of joy and new hope. This tapestry shows us incredible loyalty. It displays quiet courage in the face of adversity. Most of all, it reveals the unexpected blessings that come from God. Their journey began in famine and despair. It ended in fullness and grace. Ruth's loyalty to Naomi is a powerful example for all of us. It shines brightly through the ages. She made a difficult choice. She chose love and commitment over personal comfort and familiarity. She chose to leave her old life behind. She embraced Naomi's people and Naomi's God. Her steadfast faithfulness did not go unnoticed. It led to unimaginable blessings for her and for Naomi. We can learn so much from her devoted and selfless heart. Her example encourages us to be loyal. Naomi's journey from profound bitterness to overflowing joy is deeply inspiring. Even in her darkest moments of pain, she made a crucial decision. She chose to return to her people and her faith. She guided Ruth with wisdom born from experience. She opened her heart to hope once more. She found her emptiness wonderfully filled. Her story teaches us a vital lesson. It shows that hope can bloom again, even after the harshest winters of the soul. We should never give up. Their story is a timeless reminder. It shows that God works in mysterious and surprising ways. He can bring good out of very difficult situations. He can turn sorrow into joy. He honors loyalty, love, and faith. Ruth and Naomi walked a hard road, but they found unexpected grace and a beautiful new beginning. Their legacy continues to inspire us. It tells us that even in our darkest times, new dawns await. We must hold on to faith and love.